Hello YouTube. I've come to the top of Armstrong Road here in Rosebank for a little bit of a sticky beak. There's a property here that's just been put on the market, and Armstrong Road is one of the better roads in Rosebank for a place like a macadamia farm. And this particular farm here has a nursery, which I can see from the street, quite an advanced looking macadamia nursery, and a macadamia farm. And it looks, at least from the street, like a very nice property. The trees aren't particularly overgrown, although they're definitely mature. They're well looked after, there's good ground cover, there's good row spacing, and the land, while it does slope a bit, and you can sort of see it goes down a hill a little bit, the land is certainly nothing to be frightened of in terms of the ability to work the property. And you can see plenty of action on the place. There's a drainage channel that I'm just walking past now. The grass has been kept low, although I suspect that might have more to do with the sale than the actual management of the farm. And the trees are looking really quite healthy, although I'm not sure. Oh no, they've flowered quite well. You can tell these are older Hawaiians, but no way of knowing which particular ones they are without, of course, going into depth in the farm. So, very, very nice, creditable property. Probably, I would guess, a pretty good producer. It's been looked after. And it prompted me to do a video that I've been doing, I think now this is the third one I've done, about the state of the macadamia farm market here in the Northern Rivers of New South Wales, because it's a topic of increasing frustration for people who want to access this industry. I don't want to give you the same tired old message, and you can go back on my previous videos for that, and all that's fine. But to recap, if you don't want to go back to those videos, the market's been very tight for a few years now. There's been very little on the market in terms of macadamia farms. When I did one in spring 2020, we were, in the middle of COVID-1, if you want to call it that. And there was a very big push on for people to leave Sydney, to go to lifestyle properties, have their tree change, and macadamia farming was one of those dreamy, idyllic lifestyles. It's very much the motivation I had for my own farm purchase, although I got in 2019. So what happened was a big tightening of the market that, the macadamia price actually went up in 2020 quite high, so farmers were holding on to farms fairly tightly. Demand was high, no one much was selling, and the farms that were selling often had a lot of problems built into them in terms of making a commercial venture out of them, or just being able to work easily, how to manage. So it was very much a seller's market. And a few people who reached out to me via my YouTube channel had, complaints about agents behaving badly, not returning calls, giving, sort of dingo-like price negotiations where they're not coming back with counter offers, they're just asking buyers to bid against themselves. Why did all that behaviour happen? Well, I suppose one reason is because they could, and they could treat buyers a bit like first-time job applicants and, treat them like they're dispensable because there'll always be another one coming. And the stories I heard, they're from more than one person, and they're from people who I've come to know and trust, because there's, a couple of them are still looking, and they've been on a search for a very long time. And look, I'm disappointed with that behaviour, and I wish the agents would treat customers as customers in a market that is a seller's market. But it's not showing any signs of being anything else. This particular farm you're looking at now is listed for auction, and it's from the same agency that's been really the only agency that's tried to list macadamia farms for auction in the past. It's always been in October that they list them, and so this listing has just come up now. I haven't got a predicted range or anything like that at the time of making this video, because it's literally just come onto the market, but it's likely to be expensive. Why? Well, then there's the seller's market that I mentioned, but this particular year, since my last video, there have been a couple of developments. There was a property at 86 Eureka Road, Clunes, which was a very, very nice farm. Let's not make any mistake about that. Beautiful farm, beautiful house that had been, I think, as a Queenslander that had been flown down from Queensland, or driven down from Queensland, sorry, and done up like a dinner. Beautiful city bait, but also a very nice working farm. It went for $5.8 million, and that was an absolute out of the ballpark record for a macadamia farm, even of that size. Then followed, what happens in real estate sometimes is that one property sets a benchmark, and then other properties that come on the market say, well, I want $5.8 million too. And agents can, approach customers, and customers can say, how much is this farm? And they'll give a price close to $5.8 million. The customer asks why, and of course the agent can say, well, this one here went for $5.8 million. So, my vendor wants that as well. So we then had a rolling couple of sales. There was Westerfolds, which I've shown you in a previous video when I did a tour of the Northern Rivers Macadamia region. Westerfolds, I think, went for low fours. And other properties are in the market now for around about the $5 million mark, which is a very, very big jump on what they might have gone for just 3 or so years ago. There's one property that was on the market for low threes when I was looking for a macadamia farm. It's now back on the market for close to $5 million. I won't give any more details of what that was, but what I can tell you is that I did send an agronomist into that particular farm, and the agronomist rang up and said, don't touch it. It was on too steep, hilly land. It looked beautiful. It was a picture postcard of a place, and the house had a lovely view over the area, and it was easy to get lost in the dream. And but then, when the agronomist said, this farm is very, very difficult to work, and I don't think you're going to get any reasonable performance out of most of it, I shied away. Then, apparently what happened was that some farmer in Victoria who wanted to retire to the Northern Rivers bought it sight unseen for the 3.4. Surprise, surprise, it's back on the market again in 2021, but they want $5 million as well. Maybe someone's going to pay that, maybe someone isn't. But one thing to watch if you are in the market for a property is if you're looking at a farm that's changed hands quickly several times over the last something years. It's a pretty safe hint that, barring other reasons, there might be something wrong with the farm itself, and it might be better in terms of selling the dream than selling the reality. If you're finding a long held farm with a good production track record over many years, that's what drives an excellent farm price if you're a vendor. And of course, if you're a buyer, you can then do your numbers based on anticipated income, what you have to pay, that sort of thing. The particular difficulty of an auction is that unless you've sold up in somewhere like Sydney and you've got a few million burning a hole in your pocket, you're going to have to justify this to a bank. And if all you're going to do is bid on an auction where there might be, 5 interested buyers, it's kind of hard to sort of invest that amount of investigation unless it's a property you're really sort of out to get. And of course, getting approval for finance for that kind of money on a business loan is not, it's not like a home loan. There's much more paperwork involved and a much bigger approval process. You can't just use a standard garden variety mortgage to buy a macadamia farm, unfortunately, or particularly one that's more than hobby size. So we're in the same superheated position that I spoke to you about a year ago and 2 years ago. There's very little on the market, and what there is coming on for a premium price, but there's an extra level of that premium generated by that 5.8 million sale in Eureka, which is having a knock-on effect for both vendors' expectations and what buyers are being asked to pay. What are they going to ask for this property? I don't know. It's a nice property, but there's a cut-off where nice becomes not so nice if the finances don't work out and the price is just too expensive. And you'd really hope that there'd be some movement in prices or some movement in farms. Unfortunately, the lowering of the macadamia price hasn't lowered the demand for the farms or the prices that are being asked for them. And without a financial crisis, I suppose, with property values still going up in Sydney, it's increasing the amount of available money tree changers might have to sink into a farm like this. So there's the considerations, guys. The property market in 2021, my advice is be careful. Look for properties with a track record, particularly if you're going to need the money from the production. And you know, be wary of farms that change hands quickly, because you might be getting something that that doesn't work as an actual real life venture. That's my thoughts for the 2021 market. Good luck if you're still looking. It looks to me like things will remain tight for this particular year, or at least while the property market remains buoyant in those urban areas. But all I could say is, if you are looking, don't give up the hunt. It's an absolutely beautiful thing to do. And you know, I often give an analogy that you know, even if you don't want to do much farming yourself, it's sort of like whenever I get asked to a game of golf, I always say yes. I can't play golf for the air that I breathe. I hit the ball in any sort of direction. The reason I say yes is it's just so beautiful being on a golf course. Well, that's what macadamia farming's like. I love the farming anyway, but it's just so nice being here. And that, unfortunately, is why it's expensive. Thanks for watching, everyone. I will be in touch again soon. I have other things to show you, and some of them are not quite as serene as this, but I'll leave that for another time. See you later.